Welcome to 10,000 Satoshis podcast. This is our first time, so bear with us. We're making this up as we go. But I just wanted to introduce myself. I am joeFi, and this is my co-host, Collin. And we are coming to you from the land of 10,000 lakes, where we're going to be diving into everything that is Bitcoin in Minnesota. We want this podcast to be through a local lens. There's enough podcasts out there that are, talking about the high level, this and that. But this is just about what's happening in our community. And coming to all the meetups and doing the meetups, I know there's so many people that don't know each other and what is going on. So I was hoping that this could be just a central place for people to know what Mike's doing. We'll get to that and what we're up to and what other people are up to. So the reason we're calling this 10,000 Satoshis, it's a play on 10,000 lakes. And we just want to tell everybody's story, and everybody is Satoshi. So we definitely want to do that. And let's see here. One more thing, housekeeping before we move on. This is not sponsored by anybody except for tcbitcoin.com, because we want to see you come out to one of the great events that happen all the time in the Twin Cities here. And we just want to see more people come out because, it's just another excuse to talk about Bitcoin, and what is better than that. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our guest, OpenMike. Mike, who are you? What do you do? And tell everybody that your name and your Satoshi.
Hey, well, I'm OpenMike. I am Satoshi. And thanks, first guest. This is great. I love it. 10,000 Satoshis. Honored to be here. I am in the music business by day, and it's particularly the live music business. Work in the back office in finance, and founded a startup called Tunestr, which is live streaming on Nostr to support independent artists. So.
All right. So before we get too deep into the technicals and things like that, just tell us one thing you like about Minnesota.
Minnesota's the best. No, I say this all the time. There's a great actual local hip hop lyric that says, "Roam if you must, but come home when you've seen enough." And that is absolutely my story. Before the age of 30, I had been to 65 countries and lived in a couple different countries and spent as much time overseas in my 20s as I did here. And Minneapolis just checks all the boxes. I live a long walk, albeit, but a couple mile walk from my office, which is right next to where the Timberwolves play, where the Twins play, and it's affordable. And I'm a stone's throw from a lake, from a wildlife reserve, from downtown. We're like the third or fourth stop on Broadway. That's one of the arts measurements that I take on what's a good arts community. And, we really have a great little secret here in Minnesota that the winters protect us from all the outsiders, everyone gets scared away. So,
all right. So you have touched on it. You're in the music industry. What got you into the music industry, or what's your background that brought you to that? Are you a fan or
big fan? Yeah. So, serendipity is the short answer. I was lucky. I was in the right place at the right time, but I'm a CPA by trade. I was kind of always the music obsessed guy in the office. So when I was working for a public accounting firm in the, around 2000, early 2000s, I was always the guy who'd round up all the people and buy all the tickets and say, we're not doing the happy hour at the hotel. We're doing the happy hour at, the dive bar with music. And so fast forward 12 years into my career. the famous venue in town here was looking for a head of finance, and one of the individuals that I managed when I was at the CPA firm and kind of knew my MO, got assigned a confidential search to fill this role. And so that's how the stars kind of aligned. She's like, I know. She looked at the job rec and said, Mike's worked at a company this size. He's managed HR and legal and finance, and I think you should talk to him. And so we just all got put in the right room, and that was about 13 years ago. So I've been chugging away, with a very strange career pivot from corporate finance to independent music, but I'm using all of the skills that I developed in getting my CPA in support of an area that I really feel passionately about. So it's pretty awesome.
So now that you've been in the music industry for 13 years,
yeah,
what do you say the biggest challenges facing like the industry and like the independent musicians? And by the end of this, I want to know if I've got a chance to make it. So no, but really, what are the issues facing the industry?
I mean, there's a couple things when you said independent industry versus just the music industry as a whole. And our particular organization is fiercely independent, or top 2 or 3 in the country as far as the remaining independent music venue and promoter kind of combos, where you own venues and you promote shows and book them at the same time. And those are just, day by day becoming extinct and gobbled up by Live Nation. So the consolidation of all of the power really into Live Nation, which everybody loves to, hashtag cancel Spotify, that's the consumer facing problem, is like nobody makes money in streaming anymore. And so that's just a very low hanging fruit that like all of us are really familiar with. But Live Nation's a much bigger problem in my world, because they own venues, they own, they manage and own artist relationships, they own Ticketmaster.
Do they own radio stations too, or not?
They're just a vertical stack, all the way top to bottom. And so that puts independents almost in a battle against each other and against musicians, because the only way that artists, and it compounds with the Spotify phenomenon, because nobody makes money unless they're touring. And it didn't used to be that way. Like, I don't know how old you are, but Joe and I are a little,
what do you say?
A little more gray here. But like, people used to tour to sell CDs. Or, touring was profitable too, but like that was a big deal, like to sell your record. And now they need to tour to keep the lights on. And then they give all their music away essentially for free to try to sell tickets for the tour. And they're begging and pleading to get postures on playlists so they get more spins, but it's really just to, sell tickets and merch. And that's a big, that's a big change. It predates my 13 years. But it certainly has been significantly exacerbated in the last 13 years with the concentration of that, and Live Nation. This isn't, how hard it is to get in trouble with Washington in a monopoly situation. And like Live Nation is on Capitol Hill currently defending themselves on like why they shouldn't be broken up as a monopoly. And if you've gotten to that point, it's kind of like, if it looks like a duck, and it's kind of like, you're probably a monopoly.
And kind of zooming out a little bit, do you think we've reached kind of peak monopoly with Live Nation, or do you think it can get much worse?
Well,
like at a macro level, where do you see the music industry going from here?
So not to go on like too much of a pivot, but like that's a really interesting like tangent to like more props to Minnesota. But this is the organization called the National Independent Venue Association it's not a nonprofit, it's a trade organization that was formed in the first days after COVID shutdown happened. And Dana Frank from Minneapolis here looked around the music industry when everybody shut down, and she's like, holy shit, like, we're all going to be Live Nation venues in 8 weeks. Like, nobody can pay their bills. They're going to just swoop in, and they're going to buy every independent venue for pennies on the dollar in bankruptcy before this pandemic is over. And all the indies like got together and basically hustled and, you know, got Amy Klobuchar, Cornyn, and Schumer involved and passed the largest, you know, through public fundraising and pressure, $16.8 billion stimulus package only for independent music. And that all started in Minneapolis. And that would have been your question, like, realized. And now it's just happening slower.
Okay.
Because I just came back from a conference and 64% of independent venues are losing money. So it's just little by little, it's just a slow bleed. And
does Bitcoin fix that? You know, at a high level?
I mean,
do they even have cash flows to like throw at Bitcoin, you know, to sustain themselves a little bit longer?
Yeah, it's challenging. You know, it's like when you talk to a kid who just got out of college and you're like, Bitcoin will fix this. You know, like, well, I don't have money to buy coffee.
Right.
It's like, well, just put 50 cents in, you know, little by little. Yeah, just little by. It's hard to have that conversation and really, because it also requires such a low time preference that we know is like, we can sit here and kind of, you know, when I made one of my biggest ever fiat conversions in the ashes of FTX. And like, that's counterintuitive if you haven't been through that emotional roller coaster and just kind of become callous to that drama of like, this is, you know, my wealth just got cut by 90% if you're measuring it with a broken ruler, you know?
Right.
And so I mean, part of like the part of what Tunestr exists to do is give me something to talk about as a Trojan horse and just be like, hey, you know, streaming, let's talk about streaming, Bitcoin, you know, but like, you have to, it forces a conversation of like, if you know, and streaming is not a good business model either. So most people be like, oh, whatever, streaming, that sucks. We tried that during the pandemic. It was fine for a second. There's like 2 bands in the world that can monetize it, like Fish, you know, and there's people who can charge money for streams. But Tunestr gives me a way to engage and bridge the 2 worlds and kind of Trojan horse Bitcoin through a more practical mechanism. And, you know, I do think I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have done a lot of the things that I did if I didn't think Bitcoin changes the music industry. It's just, it's not a point A to point B for most people. It's not like, what does cryptocurrency have to do with independent art if it's not NFTs and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, it's just.
So now that you've touched on it,
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us what Tunestr is?
Sure.
I mean, because I'm sure some people have no idea, and like, explain it to me like I'm slow, because I am.
Come on now. So if you know what this reference is, then you already know what Tunestr is probably. But there's a live streaming service called Zap.stream. A Nostr developer. A Nostr developer overseas wrote the code, and it essentially is it's a way to log in with an identity that you own, or social media, just to put it in sort of fiat terms, a social media profile, and you drop it into this service rather than signing up for a service. So you drop in your own, like, stick your driver's license into the machine, and all your data comes with you, and you can launch a live stream as yourself without having to really start a brand new account. You bring all your history with you, and by broadcasting on Zapstream, you can connect your Bitcoin wallet through your social media profile and just directly interact with your fans or your viewers and exchange, real money in the form of Bitcoin on the Lightning Network. And there's no intermediary, there's no fees, there's none of the stuff that you would normally see on Rumble or Patreon. These other models that have started off in a great spot and then have gradually gotten worse and worse and worse for creators over time. So Zapstream does that in a generic term, and because Nostr is open source and free for anyone to use, I just forked it. So I took the source code on GitHub, forked it, rebranded it. Actually, I didn't even realize I'm wearing the shirt. This is the birthday of Tunestr at Nostrasia. So I met the author of Zapstream in Tokyo at this event. And, I know the ethos of open source is just use it and make it your own, but I'm still old school, and I wanted to meet the person who created it and say, hey, look, I really appreciate what you did. I want your permission. This is what I want to do. And of course he was incredibly gracious, and he actually sat down and helped me fork the code that day. So we went into GitHub and just made it happen. And and basically that just gives me a way to talk about the innovation that he brought to the world through a different cosmetic presentation of I want this to cater to artists. I don't want Doomtree to show up, put up a stream, and then have one of our crazy Bitcoiners ranting right next to him, and then somebody playing Grand Theft Auto right next to them. I just want it to be a place where music can go and be discovered, and then having it all branded in a certain way is just more welcoming to a very, very skeptical community, because they, as much as Bitcoin is needed, Bitcoin doesn't need them. And it's not a very welcoming community. Independent musicians have been nothing but rugged by technology. So when you come in with the latest and greatest thing, it's not going to be, you don't get the benefit of good intentions, right? If you come in and it's okay, what are you selling? What's the catch? Why would I do this? What's the reputational risk? Why would I be a leader? All that stuff. It's a tough hill to climb. So Zapstream wouldn't have worked on its own to onboard people.
So basically, Tunestr is a fork of Zapstream with a better interface or a more music-looking skin on top of it.
Very cosmetic.
Yeah.
I don't do anything better than Kieran. I just make it look different.
Yeah. We're going to ask people how they can contribute. So
hey, open source. We need all the help we can get.
So what has Tunestr done so far, and what would you say? I'm just Joe, guitar player, and you're telling me about it for the first time, or what has the reaction been to Tunestr from the industry, and what has it been used for so far?
Yeah, so Tunestr, the first show, we've been traveling around the country and doing shows, trying to tack on additional services and additional revenue to concerts that are already taking place. So, if somebody's coming through one of our venues, I don't intermingle my day job at all with Tunestr unless an artist asks for it. And I have had, I recently had an artist who out of the blue is somebody I really admire. And I was like, it was the guys from Doomtree. And they approached me and said, we heard about this and we're playing a show at one of your venues. Should we do this? And I was like, yeah, should you do it? Like,
Well, there's no drawback necessarily, right? It's just an added
yeah,
value for people to watch.
except for you have the distraction factor, and you have the, there is a reputational risk to like go and be like, yeah, I love Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And like, that's stupid that exists, but it does. And that's why, I haven't mentioned my company name once yet, because that is a reputational risk thing. And it is something that I don't pretend that the entire industry endorses, because it's misunderstood. And especially in the current political environment, it's even muddier, where people think that Bitcoin is crypto and people think that crypto is Trump. And, find me one artist, you say, unfortunately, like that's a stopper for many, many artists, that you just kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater when you're guilty by association.
Right.
And,
Right.
But yeah, so coming back, we, our first show was December of 2023. We had Just Loud and Ainsley Costello play. Actually, shout out O'Shaughnessy Distilling. First ever Tunestr concert was at the Minneapolis Bitcoin meetup.
Which you would know if you constantly check tcbitcoin.com.
Only sponsor.
Only sponsor.
You know it? Yeah. Shameless plug.
If you know, you know. No.
But that was the first. So we did a dry run that night in advance of a night at the professional nightclub, the 7th Street Entry downtown. And in 2 days, the artist generated over 18 million sats. And that's jaw-dropping to think of in today's price terms, because on that day it was 41,000, which was still crazy. Because, we had the lightning in a bottle. We had like all of Nostr was talking about it. We were getting zaps from Gigi and from Pablo, and everybody heard about it. Adam Curry, immediately reached out. He was involved. Yeah, Marty. But yeah, Adam Curry was involved behind the scenes promoting it, leading up to it. And, that was incredible. And that just kind of was, today, that's absurd to think that a concert that had less than 200 people physically in attendance made that kind of money.
Right.
And that's the idea. Like that's what Tunestr is, those artists played a real rock club, sold real tickets, had real fans, and had Tunestr not existed that night, couple hundred tickets, they probably would have both gone home with like $1,000 max. Wow. No, probably 500, 600 each.
Really?
But if Tunestr can swoop in, even if it's like a really modest extra revenue stream, call it $50. Yeah. Forget about 18 million sats, but like $50, $100. If one whale happens to like be online when they're playing your show on Tunestr and they like it and they send a little fat zap, like that really does matter. That's how tight the margins are for touring artists to go out and hit the road and play these small 200, 300, 400 person clubs. The merch table is a very material part of their business. So adding another little opportunity to make money is a big deal. And so since that day, that was kind of my proof of concept day. And I've done, probably 15 or 20 shows since then. Did shows at the Nashville conference, rented out the Vinyl Lounge, did that partnership with Wave Lake in Nashville, spoke on a ton of panels. I spoke at the Bitcoin conference last year and Baltic Honey Badger. We did a show in Riga But the point is, anybody can just pop up and use Tunestr. They don't need me. You just take your Nostr keys, drop it into the site, and you could launch a stream on your own. I just run around showing people how to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're kind of bootstrapping it,
Yeah.
You're the hands-on right now, but is that where you, in a perfect world, where do you see Tunestr going? Like,
Yeah.
if all the stars align, is it just something that lives out on the internet and people are using without you ever even knowing about it? Or what do you see in a perfect world Tunestr becoming?
Yeah, it's the beautiful thing is I don't know, right? And it doesn't matter because I don't rely on it for any income. I don't take any of the sats. If they use if they want to broadcast through my account, obviously the zaps come to the broadcast account, so then I have to send it back to them. But I don't take any. If that's how they want to do it, then I'll just send them all the zaps at the end of the night. But I'm using it really as a jumping off point to have this larger discussion about what it means to be a independent sovereign artist. And here's one example that hopefully can like trigger you into like, all right, I got to put my shit on Fountain, Wave Lake. I got to start navigating this world and figuring out how to interact with fans in a meaningful, direct way without anybody fucking with the intermediation of that, relationship. And Tunestr, my perfect world would be like, I think there's going to be a day where the Neva community and the company that I work for, who's aware of all this stuff, they know what I'm doing. Like, my boss is the owner, and like we talk about Bitcoin more than she wants to.
Just like everyone that knows us in real life, they talk about it more than they want to.
But I believe that there's a day that they're going to all see Nostr and they're going to say, holy shit, where has this been the whole time? And I'll just,
nobody ever told me.
And I'll just take out my hat and be like, are you ready now? Like, let's just fold this right into our normal business and just have it be a very subtle supplement that differentiates us from Live Nation, right? Like, Live Nation's not going to do this shit. They don't care. Like, they're going to sell sponsorship packages and corporate boxes and big deals on top of the shows. And the artists who are fortunate enough to make it into the Live Nation level of success aren't going to necessarily care about a couple $100 of zaps. The system works for them just fine. But if we could just throw Tunestr in as like an additional service on top of an independent venue and a promoter stack and say, all right, Doomtree, you've got an offer from the Uptown Theater, which is a Live Nation venue, and you've got an offer from the local independent venue. All things are equal. They're going to pay you 20 grand here and 20 grand there. This one has Tunestr, this one doesn't. Well, Tunestr is just one more feather in the cap of the indie, and it's one more revenue stream for the artist, and it hopefully would make independent venues more competitive to offer this niche service. And it is, I think that history is going to reward the artists who are doing it this way, so that you will have that reputation of like, yeah, I was here early and I was doing this when it wasn't cool, right? and indie artists they're so skeptical. They're pre-Bitcoiners through and through. Like they don't trust, they verify. Like, they're not going to listen to the Tunestr pitch. But
one thing I was going to mention is, it's kind of hard to teach an old dog new trick.
Yeah.
Just in general. But the longer something is around, the more limby it is, the more impactful it can be, maybe longer term. And I see this as like such an awesome project for those artists that maybe aren't even born yet.
Yeah.
And like they're just going to have that tool at their disposal. They can play the low time preference, long-term game of accumulating hands, right? Building a hand base, these were after.
Yeah.
Having that direct communication to them, verifiable, and then also being able to like broadcast through a medium that they prefer. I'm global fans. Like everything is just getting a little bit more digital, but like that doesn't mean that these artists can't like travel globally to
Right.
service their fans and like
Right.
work off of it that way.
Right. And it really does, like, it lends itself beautifully to this, like, if you want to be independent, like, here's a tool now.
Here's a
Like,
tool.
and like, I'm very practical. I'm a finance guy, like, and a Bitcoiner, right? So like, I love transparency. I love immutability. I love
Triple entry accounting.
that was my orange pill, right? Like, that was like when I heard that, I knew
I have to laugh because
Yeah.
it's one of the nerdiest orange pill things I've ever heard. So
yeah, I mean, that's what, I heard. You heard all the other, NGU shit when you're a pre-coiner. And then when you hear something like that, it like grabbed me, and I was like, wait a second, that has nothing to do with drugs and gambling and, Silk Road stuff. What's going on here? And, but the independent artists who want to be a part of the solution,
right.
I now have something to challenge them with. It's like, hey, you know what? That's great. We all love to shit all over Spotify and Live Nation, but like, now you can vote with your feet, you can vote with your wallet, you can vote with your time. And which, do you want to play the long game and be part of the solution or not?
Right. Well, what I find interesting though too is on the live music side, there's nothing really like this. Because it like the streamers, they've already capitalized on this. They make entire livings off of like, oh hey, Bob from Arkansas gave me $13. Thanks, Bob. And they go all day long and they make real money doing that. Do you see? And I've obviously been to some of the shows. Do you see a way to incorporate like an interactive between the show and what's actually streaming in?
Oh yeah.
Is it going to be, as it gets more normalized, do you think it could be something where it could be more than just like, the cherry on top? It could actually be a major part of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a niche, because like the OG music community, just anything that's gimmicky is just, get it out of here. But like, I watched,
or how about like the Nashville where they you have to pay for them to play the cover songs?
yeah, like all those things are real. I'm like, I know versions of that stuff exists in the fiat world where it's like you could pay to engage somebody real time, like, but that has been some of the cool things when you're exchanging money real time through Tunestr. We've put TV screen, like we pulled out TVs on rollers and put them in the venue. So I would never do this at a traditional show like the Doom Tree show. No chance, right? If they wanted it later, fine.
Then you could see the commentary.
Well, and then like the technology, the technology becomes a part of the show. And that was, for the Bitcoin audience in Nashville, that was awesome.
Right.
Like we put the screens up and we had a big projector monitor upstairs that was showing the leaderboard.
Okay.
And so and that's just awesome, like alignment of incentives for me to watch as like the CFO of a music company. Is like, these artists are benefiting from competitive degeneracy on zapping. Like everybody wants to rise the leaderboard, and so we'd played around with the production guys at a show will set up a trigger where they can set the actual hardware to like light up a sign if like a boost or a zap over $10 shows up.
That's awesome.
And like the big show that we did in Austin, which was Sets by Southwest in December of last year, we had Adam Curry, do the MC, and we were trying. The artist pushed back and didn't want it because I guess fog machines are just not popular. But we wanted to have a fog machine go off every time somebody zapped more than like $20 or something.
Yeah.
But
I would have just been blowing it.
I know it would have been great, but we had a neon sign next to the stage that lit up.
You need a flame cannon.
Yeah.
Just
then all your zaps get chewed up with the insurance premium.
Detail. You're talking like a pound.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So So how does Tunestr tie into Nostr, and what is Nostr? Do I need Nostr to use Tunestr?
Yes.
Explain it to me like I'm in 7.
All right. So Tunestr is a application on the Nostr protocol. Nostr is much like email is not a company. You have like Gmail, you have Hotmail, you have Outlook. Those are different flavors of email, and Nostr is at that email level. It's a protocol by which anybody can build in an open. Oh, there you go. Not 7 years old anymore. Here we go. It's the easiest trap to fall into. But Nostr,
and it could be any type of data, right?
yeah, Nostr's a new
Like tweets.
communication protocol. It's just it's a permissionless protocol that you exchange data on in any format. And so the most common application that everybody pigeonholes it into is like the Twitter clones or the Instagram, Facebook clones, social media. But for Bitcoiners, it's just like if that's the mechanism to exchange money and value in, this is exchanging communication, exchanging data, and so yes, to use Tunestr, you could generate a key pair being an identity, a profile, so to speak. Through any application. You could go on Primal, you could go on Damus, you could go on whatever you want, and that would work in Tunestr. So it's pretty amazing, and like it's easiest to see it in practice by reducing the scope to just social media and just be like, all right, like I just need one. It's like a single login for all of my socials.
Right.
And then get your arms around that and just watch how like we could post something to Fountain right now and then pull it up in the other app and it's all there. All your posts are cross. It's like a restream for streaming, right? Like you put it in one and it's just going to show up everywhere else. But
which is a lot of power going back to the consumer. That's it's giving people, one, ownership over their data, but then like two, ownership over their like platform that you're using.
Yeah.
They can just move.
Well, that's what blows my mind. And it just shows you, how early we are and how much, like, I think this Nostr, this is like Bitcoin in 2010, 2011. Like,
not that I was there.
I wasn't near it.
But that's kind of what I picture it.
Because it's like we have had social billboards and flashing red lights for like Nostr everywhere. Like, is there any more powerful thing than somebody who's invested their entire professional career on building content online, which is my world? That's the independent artist world. Is like, if you want to be indie, go put all your shit up and just sell it direct, right? So if you're like a YouTube creator or a TikTok creator and you come in and rewind to January when the TikTok ban happened for a nanosecond, I should have just had the entire community running to me, and not a single person asked.
That it's super interesting though. It's like
imagine spending 10,000 hours on something that just a whim of like a couple of political bullies like butting heads, just your collateral damage in that whole thing had nothing to do with anything you did. Everybody knows about, people saying shitty things online getting canceled, and how unfair it is to have one person hold the God key. We could argue all day over like, should Trump have been kicked off all these platforms? Yes or no? Who cares, right? The fact that it's possible should scare anybody that makes their livelihood that way.
Well, and I think nowadays too, not to get too off onto a tangent or down a different rabbit hole, but just being able to choose the algorithm, definitely how like that's just never talked about.
Yeah.
Like we're just served what we're served.
So true.
We consume what
So true.
really feed us.
Yeah.
And they being, whatever is designed with algorithm.
Yeah.
But that kind of goes out the window.
Yeah.
With Nostr to a certain extent.
Yeah. And like these, build your own algorithm, choose your own algorithm. I mean, that is just so flippin' cool. Like but I look at the, what else is going to get people there if a momentary shutdown of TikTok didn't do it.
Right.
So it's,
I'm sure people were thinking,
but
the boilers.
The blessing is though, Nostr wasn't ready. Like, because I've had this moment a few times in the last year where like when all the Swifties quit X because of Elon, I was like, well, why are you going to Blue Sky? Like, it's just, it's Nostr. Like, but it's just, we're not ready. It's totally okay that like, we're not going to get too many. We've even seen that in the Bitcoin community. Like people come in, they get all excited and then they get bored and they go back to X because that's where the fights are. That's where the content is. That's here. But yeah,
exactly. Are we so pre-programmed that we have the algorithm now that feeds us the rage bait?
I mean,
maybe we should invent the algorithm, the Nostr rage algorithm.
Yeah.
Just turn it on. I feel like being busy today,
Yeah. But I mean, it's going to be more and more people rage quitting the traditional system on principle. Like Odell and Gigi made the business decision to just leave behind 250,000 followers and say, if you want to find me, I'm over here. And I could never in good faith tell an artist to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, that'd be a bad economic choice for somebody who's trying to, make a living and feed their family and, hopefully not have a day job. They can be an artist full time. Like in the short term, it's probably, if you want to do it, I will 100% support you. But I couldn't say it's a good idea to nuke your YouTube channel and come to Zapstream.
And yeah, the corollaries to Bitcoin, like just going back, like rewinding time, going back in time. If someone told you back in 2010, like, hey, I'm going Bitcoin only, like, I get it. Yeah, I'm done with dollars. Yeah. Where are they going to spend their money? How are they going to convert it to gift cards if they can then spend it on anything? Like, it's kind of a similar feel to Nostr in the sense that, people just, Nostr isn't ready, maybe. Yeah, I'm like, the people aren't ready yet.
Well, there's no company, as we all know. There's no, there's no marketing budget. There's no R&D department. But as, hopefully people like me, like, I don't need this to be my financial support. Like Tunestr, I'm going to keep making bad financial decisions for the sake of Tunestr. And it's going to take more of that. Like, Jack is the extreme example of like putting large $10 million chunks into a protocol that has no leader.
Yep.
But it's going to need more builders who can actually, like, maybe Primal might be one of the first case studies of like, how do you meld, an investor-based app with the open source world and try to build a business in this in this community. Because I think the people who are here, we know if you had Bitcoin in 2011, you financially had a massive appreciation of value.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means in Nostr, but the people who are here early, I do think are going to be rewarded, because when it happens, when people are so fed up with these centralized gatekeepers, the leaders in Nostr, I think, are going to be sought after in some way.
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, I am too.
So speaking of Nostr, let's say I this is the first day I've heard of it.
Yeah.
How do I sign up? And then my first thing on it is I want to find you. How do I do that?
Yeah. Depending on your mobile device, I generally point people to Primal. I love Damus. I know the team over there. So you go to your app store, download Primal or Damus or Amethyst on Android. And it will ask you for...
Those are just regular apps.
Those are kind of your Twitter clone.
Yep.
Easy to understand the value the value prop of social media in Nostr. And they'll generate a key pair, which is essentially like your handle on Twitter. And from there, you can start to tailor your identity, put up a profile picture, change your username. That's where I'm at OpenMike, because the key pair will just be like a long string of characters, like a Bitcoin address. It's called an NPub. And so if you went on Primal, or you could follow me, if you clicked on music as a preference, it'll be an auto follow. But if you go into Primal and you search for OpenMike or Tunestr, my profile would come up, and you can start seeing all the ranting and raving on there.
Yeah. What are you talking about? It's just great concert photos usually.
Mostly, yeah. I keep it fairly PG.
So I mean, we've hinted at it before too. Let's say, and I'm certainly not a skilled programmer, developer, or something like that, and I'm like, you know what, this Tunestr thing is just for me. I mean, do they find your GitHub, or what's the best way if somebody wants to help?
Yeah, I'd say reach out to me on Nostr. It is on GitHub. It's under Kane Road, but that's just my username on GitHub, because I'm set it up years ago when I lived on Kane Road in Hong Kong. So it has nothing to do with Tunestr. But that was my GitHub account, and I've had a few different people contribute to it and help me out on it. But I'm always into anybody who has a passion for this and wants to help. We've got a functional site that I update the changes as they're made to Zapstream, but I'm not spreading the fork. I'm kind of just keeping up with the original code, and I'd love more brains needed.
So why do you think it matters that all this is open source? I mean, obviously, you fork Zapstream, but why is it? If I wanted to fork Tunestr, that's out there, and I can do that as well, right? Yeah. Why do you think this is so important? I mean, it's probably a completely different hat than the private business, the economy. Like, I want to own all intellectual property.
Yeah.
Why is this so important? And like, I guess how do you justify or rectify that, or reconcile? That's the word I'm looking for. How do you reconcile that with your suit job and then this job?
Yeah, it is. It's a fascinating mental exercise to think about how important intellectual property is in the music business, and how this is just
all it is.
Yeah, this is just seemingly the opposite.
Yeah.
And like anybody could just take the Tunestr code and just make it, Rhythmster or whatever the hell you want, and just start. Yeah, you could do whatever you want, and the only difference that I would have is just that I have a platform, I have an audience, I have like my social circle, and I leverage kind of my fiat job to get into rooms and to get in front of people who, if I was just a Bitcoiner going to talk to artists, I don't have that street cred to say like, oh, like it's Mike. I know he's not selling me some piece of shit. He's been here for 13 years and he was on a team that formed Neva and saved the industry. Like I'm given a little more grace than other people. I'm like Sam from Wavelake has the same thing. He's an OG musician, and like he navigates this world and kind of can cross back and forth really easily because he lives it. But he is also a Bitcoiner.
So just to not confuse, and anybody I guess probably that's made it this far probably is one of us or already very thoroughly confused. But what is Wavelake?
Wavelake's the Spotify on Nostr. Right.
Okay.
There's your 7-year-old explanation.
I can understand it.
So there you go. You upload your music and you can interact with your fans directly. You don't, the way Spotify works is all the artists are represented by a royalty organization, and Spotify reports all of their playlists and the amount of listens that an artist gets to the royalty companies. And they're the ones who are in charge of paying the artists. And so it goes through like multiple black boxes before you get your 27-cent check 6 months later. And you don't have any idea how much overhead is getting paid, from the revenue. Spotify generates revenue that has to be reported to that. And like, there's just so many mouths to feed in there. And Wavelake enables users to just go, boom, here you go. I like your song. Here's $5. And I set mine to just stream per minute. So like if I stumble on a song for, 3 minutes, it's going to do 63 sats because I'm 21 sat the minute. And then there's no subscription, there's no forced payment, but it's all voluntary value for value if you like it.
And it's not like transaction based. Like you don't feel like you're spending. I mean, you feel like you're spending time.
Yeah.
Right. Versus like signing a check and like, here you go.
Yeah.
I
mean, you just pre-program it in the settings to say like,
I think that's a very underappreciated part of, Nostr, and then the Wavelake at Tunestr. Like you can have it set up where these micropayments.
Yes. Micropayment
is spending time.
Micropayments I'm so bullish on, like as far as the idea that I can listen to Man Like Quex in Tanzania putting out his Bitcoin hip hop and stream like fractions of a penny if I want it, and he's going to get it directly. And over the course of time, it adds up, but like I can make those economic decisions without having processing fees just chipping away at what he's actually going to get. And if Nostr was nothing more, like this is what blows my mind. If it was nothing more than a gigantic decentralized payment directory, that'd be fucking cool, right?
Yeah.
Because like
I never thought of it. Yeah.
I go out to dinner with people at conferences, and like the most common way that we settle the bill is somebody who's got like a credit card that they want points will pay for it. Then all the rest is settled in Zaps. Because I don't even need you to show me a QR code. You don't have to pull out your wallet. We don't have to do any of that shit. It's just like, I'm going to just zap joeFi.
You don't have to tell the government, right? Through Venmo and all those.
Yeah. But it's like that. So it's just, if it was nothing more than a huge permissionless payment directory, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And then you throw the social layer on it, and then the communication, everything else. It's mind blowing. And like if Tunestr is just a gateway drug to all that, I'm here for it.
Yeah, and I guess I'll say it again. It's like, as long as it just sticks around, it's better than what we have currently.
Yeah.
More people will just find it,
Yeah.
and find value and create value like that's lasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just need some content. Like we need more of the dumb concert pictures and more of the cat videos and stuff, because the normies show up and they're like, what is this? Like, holy crap. Like, these maniacs are talking about op return and like fighting with
Repository.
they're fighting over like, meat diets and shit. And like,
I love it. And I've said this to you before, and I've said it to Sam from Wave Lake.
yeah,
This is going to be what mainstream Bitcoin to the masses.
yeah,
Long before me screaming from the rooftop, telling you about monetary policy and hard money. Most people just don't give a fuck.
they're going to find out those people are going to find out the hard way on the money side.
But if all you need to do is get a Taylor Swift show, and I mean, that's all you have to do, right?
Well, I mean, you're Michael Saylor.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
No, once somebody, even a small following, is like, fuck these people, I'm sick of this bullshit. Oh my God, I can do this. I mean, that's why I'm so bullish on Tunestr and Nostr. I'm playing dumb like a 7-year-old here, but this is what's going to mainstream Bitcoin.
It's gonna happen.
And I mean, people love to, talk shit about the Lightning Network and, this and that. It's here now. It's fucking worse.
Yeah.
And it will orange until millions.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited that this is being built out.
I mean, in our lifetime, people were taking fucking credit cards and swiping them on carbon paper, right? Like, that's like where we're at.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and like it's gonna, when the market demands more development to make this like superpower, it's gonna happen. And like, I know we've been close. I mean, none of these people are Taylor Swifts, but like, Doomtree, if we announced a show with them right now, I bet they'd sell 10,000 tickets in a weekend. And they're on Wave Lake.
That's so cool.
Like, they've got like 2 zaps because nobody knows who the fuck they are. But like, they're on Wave Lake. And Theo Katzman, Sam onboarded Theo, and he's in the band Wolfpack. And they're big. Like, they play big shows. They're international. They're legit. He's a big Bitcoiner. And like, these are pretty close. Like, we get a few of these people. I've been like, not to name drop, feel douchey, but like, I mean, I was in the green room talking to Killer Mike about Bitcoin, and he gets it. He's a Bitcoiner. He played at Bitcoin 2020.
Oh, that's right. I remember him. Yeah.
And that's how I talked to him. I was like, he played one of our venues. I know his manager, and I just said, I got to talk to this guy, because like, he's a Bitcoiner. Like, and I just want to hear his story. And so we just started talking. He's like, yeah, like I'm into it, but like, my manager doesn't think it's a good idea, like, to like go be out there. And he's not wrong. Like, what's the upside? If you're a Grammy winner, what do you need to do that to your reputation? Like, why do you need to be a trailblazer?
Yeah. So that's so funny that, because like I always think of, musicians as, doing their own thing, and they're always the cool people. But listening to you now here, it sounds like they're more conforming to their industry than I ever thought.
I mean, he's an activist too. Like, that's why, like, if he was just like if he didn't have that like social activism in him, I would have been less likely. I don't dork out and like go. I'm like a meet your hero guy. Like, I'm not going to go wander into the green room. I do it a few times, like for people that I really, really want to. I'd feel like I'd regret if I didn't introduce myself. But for him, I really wanted to talk and hear about what happened at Bitcoin 2022. If he's still,
Did you ask him if they got paid in Bitcoin?
They did. It was part of the requirement. Is like, you had to accept some of your payment in Bitcoin. He didn't say how much, but
so yeah, it's interesting that he would he would do that. He'd go through that process and then say like, "Oh, my manager thinks it's not a good idea."
I mean, that was
move it.
that was a bull market conference, even though it was already bear.
Okay.
It was bear at that time.
Okay.
But when they booked it, it would have been in the peak bull. And they, the talent they had lined up for that show was reflective of the bull market.
Yeah.
But
what's nice is that he's already warmed up to the idea. So like, come the next bull market or like when the stigma goes away for like the broader world.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be right there.
And I know artists who like we've done a lot of business with, and I'm not going to name their names because those other, like the people that I've named so far have come out and they're on Nostr, they're on stages where Bitcoin is being discussed.
Yep.
But there are other ones, like I know this artist who sells the fuck out of our rooms and mines Bitcoin in his basement.
Well,
probably not anymore, but like, when it was economical, he's not a casual Bitcoiner.
Yeah.
But it's just not, it doesn't make sense to potentially divide your fan base.
Sure.
You spend so much time building up a fan base around a unified identity, and then to pivot.
Yeah. It's funny though. A lot of them will do it over politics. So
yeah.
And I mean that's a little bit off topic too, but it is. It's I always look back to COVID, and a little piece of my youth died with Rage Against the Machine. So that just killed a little part of me inside. But
I had tickets to that show. That was actually Killer Mike. Killer Mike was opening for them.
Okay.
There was Run the Jewels.
Okay.
Run the Jewels, Rage Against the Machine. They first time was canceled to lockdown. Second time canceled. I think a little COVID-y stuff, and then Zach broke his ankle or something, and then they just called it all off.
Well, but they were requiring vaccine cards. So
and that was
like I said, that pretty like a lot of things during COVID killed a lot of my preconceived notions about the world, and
pretty fascinating social study.
Well, that we'll have to do another episode. Our one camera's died. I don't even know if the phone's still going. Thankfully, this is still recording. So, where? So you said Nostr is the best place for people to reach you if they've got ideas. So, who should reach out? Developers, bands,
both of those.
Cider pairs.
Depending on the flavor. But yeah, I'm Nostr only.
Okay.
So I momentarily had a X Twitter account because they required it for speaking in a conference to tag, and then I pieced out. But Tunestr is on Twitter at Tunestr21
for Luddites that don't want to do.
Yeah, but
okay.
I mean, I post there like once a month, and Nostr is where all the fun stuff happens. So if you download Primal and click on the auto follows for music, you'll catch all of my accounts.
And we'll put all your links in the description below, as well as Collin's and mine and everybody. It's So
maybe if you're interested, and you don't like reaching out on social media, come to a Minneapolis meetup.
I think that's the best way to find me.
Collin, where would they find where the meetups are?
tcbitcoin.com.
Oh my God, look at that.
Yeah. We're the naming sponsor.
Yeah. And tcbitcoin.com doesn't have just the, Minneapolis meetups as these guys know, but the Real Bedford meetup, which has a fun one. You get to drink beer in the morning on a weekend. Yeah. Awesome.
That's tomorrow is Saturday.
And then, we have a BitDev, one's BitDev,
Nostr,
and then the Nostr
book club.
Yeah.
And then there's the Shakopee, the Southwest Twin Cities.
Yeah.
There's the Eau Claire one, which has been sporadic at best, but
a lot going on in the cities. I mean, just for
and if anybody knows about Bitcoin meetups that are happening that aren't on there, reach out.
Yeah.
I mean, my only qualifier is that it can't be a shitcoin meetup. So
right. There you go.
All right. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
This is hopefully
Fantastic.
hopefully this turns out, and
Yeah.
this was fun. Even if it doesn't turn out.
This was great. Thanks so much for having me. Love it.
All right, and
Boom. That's awesome. Hopefully we stayed sort of